We have here, I call myself a legend, but actually he's a local Princeton legend, Brad Mays. Brad Mays is a film editor, film director, bon vivant, artiste, auditor. One of his latest projects is something close to my heart. I Grew Up in Princeton. Can we get a close-up? It's going to be re-edited. It's going to probably win some film awards. It's a documentary of the time he went to Princeton High School during the apex of what? Vietnam, generational conflict, and it all happened really, and Princeton was like a microcosm of the whole country. Great film, I can dig it. And now he's doing Road Rage, a bleak comedy, and I had to go to your sister, Marty Davis, who wanted me to help, and I said I won't do anything unless I get a couple lines, so I got some.
You got some lines. You got some good lines.
And I liked your direction. It's the first time I actually felt like I was doing, well, other people, it's like I felt like I was on a real movie.
Well, it is a real movie.
Yeah, I know, but for me, that's different.
Well, you know, yeah. I've been doing this a while, so.
Yeah, I mean, you actually gave direction, and we
Well,
did all the different shots and everything. And I like this, it's a bleak comedy. You want to give a synopsis, what we're looking forward to?
Well, yeah, it's in some ways it's a follow-up to the film I did that my wife produced in 2008, which is The Watermelon. I like that film a lot. It was sort of a very sweet, weirdo romantic comedy about two birds with broken wings. They find each other and they heal each other. And I really liked the aesthetic. Oh boy, this thing is traveling. I like the aesthetic that we got. Excuse me.
I thought it disappeared.
Isn't that weird? I like the aesthetic.
You should clip it to your beard.
Yeah, clip it to my beard. Thank you, Kurt. That's very useful.
I'm good with suggestions.
I know you are. Yeah, I liked what we got into. I thought it was sweet, and I liked the way that we handled the relationship. I liked the way that we handled the sexuality of the relationship. And a lot of my wife's feelings about women in film about women, I was able to employ. It was very much her vision and my vision together. And everybody knows my wife died of cancer a few years ago, and that was devastating. And it was really hard for me to get back into doing films again. I did a lot of sports TV, a lot of shooting and editing. I finished the I Grew Up in Princeton film, and that was very, very important.
Was it cathartic in a way too, or just getting back on the bicycle?
Well, it was getting back on the bicycle, and it was also finishing something that my wife thought that I should do, is make a film about that situation, that sort of zeitgeist.
That's kind of weird though, you're doing this film, there's always someone else in the room looking over your shoulder, even though she's not really there, but she is there. She was inspiring.
It's amazing on the set. You can feel her presence. I know that sounds really weird, but so what I'm trying to say here is that this film, Road Rage, is a follow-up to The Watermelon. It's not a sequel, it's a follow-up to that.
Exploring human emotions, how people...
It's a character-driven film. And the main difference, of course, is that I wrote this script. I didn't write The Watermelon. And it's also a follow-up to I Grew Up in Princeton. So it's a follow-up to both because it takes place in Princeton. It deals with certain social situations in Princeton. I'm certainly not an expert on any of this stuff because I haven't lived in Princeton in a long time. I've spent a lot of time here in the last few years, though. But yeah, it's a film that I'm really happy to be making. I'm very proud of the work that we're doing. We are doing exceptionally good work on it, I think.
Yeah, just for the audience, though, the character, if I can get it, his wife, the main character, his wife has died, and now you call him kind of a dick, but it reminds me of Californication, for those who've seen it. He's very successful with women, he's very witty, he's very quick, and they go on a road trip together.
Yeah, but he has no real sense of humanity. You know, he's disconnected from his life. He's mean-spirited, he's a racist, you know.
Yeah,
and I don't even think he really likes women particularly. You know, there's this funny thing that Peter Sellers, the director Peter Sellers, when he did Don Giovanni, the Mozart opera, he said something that I really loved and I've sort of taken to heart on this project. He said the reason Don Giovanni needed to have all those women was because he couldn't have one. And this guy, having lost his wife, is trying to fill the void with a lot of casual sex and a lot of revenge sex. You know, having sex with the wives of friends of his until finally he meets a woman that he thinks is going to be his next wife. He can't stand the thought of dying alone, and they don't even know each other.
Right.
So they go on this road. They don't like each other. and yet they persist in trying to make this relationship work.
It is
Yeah.
Sure, maybe Brown Hall,
Right.
yeah.
So he goes on this road trip into the deep south with this woman who's a pretentious, townie, and it's catastrophic. But what happens is, at the end of it all, there's the possibility for salvation. We don't know if he's going to achieve it, but there is the possibility. Certainly, the opportunity for salvation and for growth is presented to him by the end of the film, and who knows?
So it's a Scorsese movie.
No.
But what I got off on it too is I've seen people like that, they're so lost in whatever, they're being jerks, absorbed, trying to find something, they don't even realize how they affect other people.
Well, that's this guy.
He
He's
doesn't
so
realize some of the damage he's doing.
Right, he's so focused on himself.
Right.
And he is incredibly witty, and he is
And
incredibly.
he gets the women in bed.
He does, but at what cost to him, and at what it cost to them.
Well, this leads to my second point. In the time, you have some gratuitous, but I was told tasteful and interesting sex with some hot bodies. That's important, isn't that? We have
There is
commerce-
no gratuitous sex in this.
Okay, Larry. Well, who said? Okay, I threw that in there.
That's the wrong word.
I'm
okay?
trying to get a response from you. I'm sorry. But anyway, but with commerce.
You've been shot down.
Commerce is important, though. I mean, there's some interesting scenes here. There is some.
I'm not thinking of it in those terms at all,
Oh.
Adam. I'm telling a story here, and I'm
Mhm.
trying to tell it honestly.
And that just comes part of it.
Sexuality is part of this
Right.
guy's life.
Okay.
I mean, I'm at a point in my life where I don't want to do anything silly. I don't want to do anything trivial. I'm 59 years old.
Gotcha.
I have a bad heart. I don't know how many films I have left in me. I don't know how much time I have left. So I don't want to do anything trivial. And you know what? I've got some very gifted people, both local and people from other states and other cities. Really good people working on this. I don't want to waste their talents on something silly.
You really did shoot me down.
No, I'm not shooting you down.
No, but you're right, though.
No, I shot him down.
I was going for
Give me the credit, please.
I was going for a TNA hook.
There is no look. This
Yeah.
isn't a TNA movie, and it just isn't.
It's not made for Showtime.
If
You
that
like that, you wouldn't mind it.
Look, it's an indie film. I can't generate that kind of work the way those guys do.
Yeah.
What I can do is make a film. Here's what it is. I think that there are way too many people, especially way too many independent filmmakers, trying to use the independent movement as a way of, producing a Hollywood film, and somebody will say, oh, this guy can do it, so they'll hire.
Right. A stepping, hopefully.
Right. I'm beyond that. I'm making an independent film about life the way I see it, and I've had a very rich, very blessed life. I'm a lucky guy. I'm surrounded by friends who care about me, and I care about them. The lessons I've learned about life from having lost my beloved wife, and now I'm in a relationship that is very valuable to me, and I'm so lucky. So why would I want to piss on all that by, by doing something stupid that any clown could do? I feel like I have something to offer and something to say, but I also think I can entertain at the same time.
Well, yeah, which is important.
The I Grew Up movie brought you back to your Princeton roots.
It really did.
And you became in contact with all these people, and now
Yeah.
you're shooting this movie in Princeton area.
Yeah.
These are all local people,
Right,
in the production.
Yeah.
Can we say their names? Adam Roth.
Adam Roth, genius guitar player. The Roth brothers. They lived here. I knew Charlie really well in Princeton High School.
He was one of the funniest people in I Grew Up in Princeton.
Yeah, Charlie was great.
Yeah.
It's almost the Charlie Roth story.
He was the star.
Very perceptive, his insights and the way he talked. Yeah.
And his brother is just a very charismatic guy. You can tell that they're from the same household, but they're completely different guys. Adam is his own guy. I saw Adam doing things at McCarter Theater. I was at McCarter Theater. I did some shows there when Arthur Lithgow, was artistic director, and so.
Oh, John Lithgow's father.
Yeah, right. And I was on a work-study program there, so I was in school for 2 days out of the week, and the other 3 days I was at McCarter Theater doing matinees for colleges and high schools with a professional theater company doing Shakespeare and all kinds of stuff. My God. That was me getting my foot into the water. Princeton. So, that's why I call it I Gweep. I grew up in Princeton. And now I feel like I have another story to tell about Princeton. So.
then it comes up.
How do you go about marketing this? You know, when it's done,
Distribution, film
I grew up, I
awards.
knew you were good at it. You got it out there. But this is a piece of fiction here, which is
Yeah.
a different kind of
But if you look at
marketing
his
scenario.
IMDb, he has won the Berlin Film Awards.
Well, I didn't win anything in Berlin, but
So you
look,
did.
here's the, I can't take credit for something I haven't done.
I
The
did.
film was screened in Berlin,
Yeah.
so, and it was,
Read the IMDb
Yeah,
thing.
thank you.
It's yeah.
no, I'm making the film now. I'm gonna worry about marketing when it's finished. But of course, the first step in marketing is to make something of quality.
Mhm.
Now, toward that end, you know, you have to have a quality script. And I used to do screenwriting and screen doctoring in Hollywood for a living. So I know my way around screenwriting. I am not a real writer, but I can write screenplays, and I'm good at it. So the story is first and foremost, and you have to cast it with people that you want to watch for 2 hours, you know. And then you got a crew with great people. I'm very fortunate to have
Yeah.
a local guy who really knows his business.
Also, I see when you direct, it's almost like you compartmentalize in your mind how you want it to look and what different scenes you're going to try and edit and everything. You got like a holistic approach. You already have it, kind of plotted out.
Yeah, on some levels, yeah, but I also have a process down, and I respect the process. You know, and that's a product of having made a number of films. And this isn't my first feature film.
Right.
I have this belief, which I will defend, that you don't really know how to make a feature film until you've done a few. You know, it's not the same as making a short. And I'm talking about a feature narrative like this. I'm not talking about a feature documentary, right? Which I've also done several of. A feature film has tens of thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands of moving parts, and you can't unless you've done it a few times.
And your brain can take it all in, and you,
Right.
and you find how you want to work things
Right,
out,
right.
what's important for you, and how
Right.
you want to shoot.
Yeah, how you want to shoot.
Yeah.
But what I always start with in any scene, and I think that your experience with me, and certainly Kurt's on this film bears out. I like to start with the scene itself, the what, before I get into the how. How are we going to shoot it? Let's see what the scene is. Then let's figure out how to tell the scene as simply as possible. To give yourself as many options, not only for editing that scene, but for connecting it to other scenes.
Gotcha.
The main thing that I wanted to go for on this, you know, and this is professional directing, are the moments. You know, there are a lot of feature films that get made by people, and there aren't any real moments.
Yeah, you don't, even if you forget what they said, you still feel something.
Yeah.
When you leave, some
Right.
scene affected you.
And these are moments. The moments, one moment is a defining moment that somehow leads to the next moment, maybe 10 pages later.
Right.
There have to be moments.
Touchstones that hit you.
Right.
Right.
I call them beats. But films are structured very carefully, a first act, a second act, a third act, and within those acts, there are a number of defining beats or moments. And of course, the acts are themselves separated by major beats called plot points.
Right.
So I'm very much about craft. I'm very much about the old school Hollywood filmmaking. You know, I learned it while I was in California, and I'm doing it now.
Whatever you want. If I could get a little personal, I was talking to Linda, can I mention her name?
Yeah, of course.
Linda Carroll. And I go, so Linda, you came all the way up from Florida, and this was kind of like a moment. I go, why are you here? I mean, I know you're going out with Brad. She goes, I have to be here for Brad.
Yeah.
I study Brad.
I'm a lucky guy. I'm a
Thank you,
lucky
Brad.
guy. Yeah, look, she's a wonderful woman, and I love her. And
But she said it with reverence, with kind of sadness, and respect at the same time. Like, here's some, I don't know, I don't want to put you, like, you're the artist.
Well, you have a
but I'm
partnership.
also we have. I mean, I love her. What can I say? And I'm lucky enough to be in a relationship with somebody that good.
Who wants to nurture it, though, too.
Yeah, but after having been in a relationship that was pretty incredible also. So I'm a very blessed guy, but I'm also fragile. I have a heart. I have a bad heart. And
That's what okay, that's what you
she was a nurse. She's a registered nurse.
Oh, okay.
And, you know, so she takes good care of me. And this film is important to her because it's important to me. But I also think it's important to her because it deals with Princeton, and she is, boy, if anyone's a townie, it's her.
Right, she
You know,
was in the film and she grew up here, too.
Right, right.
Yeah, she's kind of like, it's her project, too. I
Very
definitely
much
got
so,
that. I
very
definitely
much
got
And
that.
and just being creative is important.
Right.
Having
Well, yeah.
these things to do and
Right.
to achieve.
This is something new.
Go
to
on
her.
this ride with you
Yeah.
and everything.
Right. So she said to me several times, "We're in this together. We're in this together." You know, and I'm mature enough now at this point in my life to really hear that for what it is and
Well,
accept it.
That does lead, and again, you can, I asked people about working with Brad Mays, and I got like 15 different responses.
Oh.
All of them negative.
Yes.
No, but
That goes without
it's
saying.
pointed a picture, and now I think I'm old enough to realize when people say things, they might have their own bias, but holistically it all came together. Yeah, he's all over the place. He could be Brad, but at the end of the day, he is creative and he's hardworking.
Right, I am.
And stuff. But,
Well, I am hardworking.
Yeah, but some people said that, and I think more their own. I think they had their own bitterness. They go, he's just difficult. He won't listen to you, which I never saw. Maybe
That's what they say about Adam, though.
Oh, and then I heard other people said he is that guy. He'll push you. He's demanding. He'll be candid, but he's great. So what's the truth of picture? You
I
get
don't
a
know.
picture.
Look, I'm just a guy making a film. That's I'm not. It's not an ego thing with me. I can tell you that. The film is first and foremost. I subordinate everything in my life to the project that I'm doing, whatever that project is. Am I demanding? Yes, because it serves the film. I'm not cruel.
No,
I'm empathetic. I believe I'm ethical. I like people.
Right.
Am I difficult? I can certainly be difficult, I'm sure, but I do care. And if somebody accuses me of being difficult or whatever, I accept that. I own it. I own my stuff.
If you want to be a creative person, some people
You've
aren't
got
going
to
to be
care.
good with that.
Right.
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, some people are going to have issues with that.
I'll tell you one thing I do. All right, and I, absolutely I do without fail. Is
But you're going to talk through your credits.
when you're doing something like this, you're engaging serious people with lives and aspirations and dreams and who have lived and are bringing their lives to what you're trying to create.
And also spending their time.
Their time, all of it. When you're doing that, you have a moral responsibility to it. And if something happens in the midst of creating this thing that jeopardizes the work that all these people, I mean, you mentioned Adam and the cast.
I can think of
Kristen.
one thing.
Well, anything that jeopardizes it, you really need to fight. And if that puts you in conflict with somebody else, well, then that's part of the game. But I feel a very strong moral, very strong ethical responsibility to this project, not only because it's a project, but in my project, but because you guys and Adam and Kristen and all the people that are participating, Lawrence, these are people who are bringing their souls to the creation.
So it's a matter of respect.
You've got to respect and you've got to protect it.
Respect, right.
Protect it, because an independent film is fragile. So, if I'm difficult, I'm difficult. I apologize to anybody I've been difficult.
And also, you don't want flaws in it.
Well, you don't, of course.
And protecting yourself against flaws is hard.
It is.
They come at you out of the woodwork.
Okay, we're going to have to wind up. Let's get, again, Brad Mays, bradmays.com. The new film will be,
It'll probably be finished sometime in May. It'll have a screening, and then I'll start playing the festival circuit and looking for distribution.
and if you want to fund it or find out more about it, what's the best place to go?
Well, I
Currently filming.
Yeah, well, there is a site that I'm sure you guys can put.
The Road Rage page on Facebook.
There's a Road Rage page on Facebook.
Facebook.
There'll be a link that leads you to it. If anybody wants to kick in a few bucks, that'd be nice. But,
And I love it is road rage, it's witty, it's urbane, it's character driven, and it is a bleak comic. I like
It is
the
bleak.
bleak comic.
Yes.
And it's been a great breezing with beer. We got the real Brad Mays out.
Is it? Could you make a distinction between bleak and farce?
This isn't farce.
It's not farce.
No. This is I would have said it's a black comedy.
Yeah.
But it's not philosophical. It's not a metaphysical kind of thing.
But the characters are all kind of depraved in some way, or just weak people.
They are nasty people, and that's one of the difficult things about making a film like this is you have people who are unpleasant. So how do you prevent the audience from being turned off? And what you do is cast them with charismatic, lovely people like yourself.
And witty,
Rod,
and witty lines, though.
Witty, well, that too. Yeah.
That Adam Roth
Adam is
helps
great.
bring that out because he's naturally witty and
Adam is
in a
one of the
sarcastic way.
funniest people I've ever met.
Well,
yeah.
thank you.